brand new Twisting Blades Season 5, is it good? The answer is absolutely. Like, it's so amazing how good this build is. Watch how fast we'll just, like, start melting content. This is subpar in terms of optimization, but it's PTR, so I kind of want to just make a lot of builds, test a lot of things, and I would say Twisting Blades, if you're a fan of it, now is a season where you can definitely play it, and it's super smooth. The one thing that is brand new with the build that is really nice, no combo points, no close quarters, so you don't have to sit there spamming puncture once in a while every 8 seconds. I hated that. So I made the build way more smooth. This is going to be like a early gameplay showcase. We'll go ahead and do a pit 100, and then we'll talk about like kind of what has changed. What I really like is, well, you can actually run a completely different passive over here. You can run Momentum, which gives you no damage. Which, it sounds crazy, but obviously we're just melting this. And keep in mind, the PTR Pit 100 is not the same as a live one. This is actually much harder than a regular 100. But these little totems that we get with one of the brand new items really helps out the build. And the tempering on this has always been pretty underwhelming. Like the tempering for Twisting Blades is like the Twisting Blades return faster. We don't actually run that. I don't know why they have it that way. I think we need maybe a rework on the tempers, but it's fine. We can run Caltrops. And we'll be a-okay for like Caltrops duration and stuff. But you can see the build with the smoke grenade goes crazy because you can activate it twice. And the reason why you can activate it like twice in succession is because if it hits an elite, its cooldown is changed. So if you just hit 2 elites, you're going to be good to go. So as you see this group of elites, double smoked, and then big damage coming up. Except for if it has suppressor and a damage reduction guy, then it might take another second. But you can see the build doesn't mess around. It's great. And it's super smooth because you don't have to watch for poison imbue or any of these things that just make your build a little bit less smooth. And it's great that we can have 2 different melee rogue builds. Flurry's good. Twisting Blades is good. Because Flurry has been bad since the launch of the game, to be honest. And now that it's actually buffed, it's very awesome. So you can see, we just have like maybe 10 CDR on this. It'd actually perform much better. But you can get that with the Rakanalis boots because your amulet slot as well as your helm slot is going to be used. Every single build will be playing Locks as well as Ring of Starless Skies and the Crown of Lucian. That one is just so good, man. It really is. Alright, so we're almost done with this. We just gotta fight like maybe one more elite pack, and then I'll show you guys all of the updated changes. And watch the boss battle. The boss battle is really good for Twisting Blades. Very nice. Because some builds are like pretty good, and then you get to the boss, especially on the PTR, which is like way scaled up. Alright, so we're already at the boss. And what it comes down to specifically is, well, the Umbra is amazing, getting double of these like totems to get crazy damage is fantastic. So all we're going to do is we're going to open up with, of course, just like every rogue build, we need to start off with the Caltrops, and then you can see it's already dead. And the crazy thing is when we have Inner Sight, guys, we actually aren't going to be taking damage for 2 seconds, and we actually dodge everything and it can heal us back to full HP. So this build is actually going to be very similar to my Flurry build. If you've already seen that, well, I'm going to go ahead and explain all of the newer things for the build for Twisting Blades, and then most of the stuff is similar to the Flurry build as it's a melee rogue build. They're going to be very similar. So for starters, Flurry has to require 2 aspects, while Twisting Blades only technically requires 1, which is going to be called the Blade Dancers. Those are the spinning ones. This actually got a damage buff by, I believe, 20%, but remember, any amount of percent buffs is going to still allow it to spin again, so you get basically more value versus, let's say, just a Flurry damage buff. So this area here is one of the major changes that actually is already live in Season 4. But in addition to that, we have a few new things that make the build much better. So as far as items go, Umbra is going to be in every, and I mean every single rogue build. I don't see any rogue build not playing this. It's like required. It's really good for like the bosses and elites. But if you're just doing speed open world content, I could see it being dropped. But at this point, you're going to one-shot everything with almost any build. It doesn't really matter. But we also happen to have the Lockruns Talisman, which really helps bump up our crit to have pretty much 100% crit and gives us a lot of resources. And then also Ring of the Starless Skies will combo really well with the Crown of Lucian. So this is an item that every single build will be playing. It gives you a lot more damage, but it messes up your resource quite a bit. So that's why you have to play Ring of the Starless Skies and Lockruns. They all combo well, because the more resources we have, the more extra bonus in terms of damage that we get, which is a multiplier on the crit damage. We also will have way more energy. It doesn't show up now, but it's the way that momentum works. So one of the newer things that we can get is called Trick Attacks. It gives you way more damage. And then also there's another really nice thing over here called Momentum. Now, normally you would say, why would you ever run this? You lose out on DPS. If you really want more DPS, you can take Close Quarters Combat, but it is kind of unnecessary, and I didn't like the playstyle. I never liked doing, oh, okay, I have to do puncture, combo points. That was cool in season like 0 through 3. At this point, I just want to kind of spam my skill, so I like that we don't have to play this anymore. So instead, we run Momentum. So what does Momentum do? So it allows you to get a lot more offensive stats on your gear because you're going to get your defenses here. So what it allows you to do is get damage reduction, which is great. It gives you up to 30% damage reduction on all of it. It's 30% on all of them. So you get 30% damage reduction, 30% maximum energy, and then 30x energy regen, which is great. And then you also have the movement speed bonus. So it really frees up your defensive stats quite big with just this alone. In addition to that, there's a couple changes with the Paragon board. So one of the newer things that we are getting here is actually going to be Lyrana's Instinct. This thing is super strong right now, and it's so easy to cap out. I have 0 damage to core on my rolls. What I actually have, that is all my Paragon. And when I give you guys the build, and I'll optimize and get everything perfect, hopefully we can get this to 35, but it's good enough. 30x already is pretty strong, and Inner Sight got a buff to where if you hit the non-targeted ones, it's going to boost it up anyways, but by a smaller amount. So what this does is it makes so when Inner Sight's gauge becomes full, we gain 100% dodge chance for 2 seconds, and then our core skills deal increased damage up to 25% of our core skill damage bonus while Inner Sight gauge remains full, and then there's like a cap on it. A lot of these things have introduced caps, which is kind of unfortunate, but still it doesn't really matter because that 30x is already good enough. It's fine. It's a really good amount because again, yeah, we just basically get core skills over here, and then we're pretty much good to go. We don't have to try to roll it on gear, so it's super beginner friendly. Now there's another newer change that is really great because like where am I getting all my extra damage? They added some new tempers. So one of the newer tempers, which I already went over, was this. Because Twisting Blades can 100% daze, dazing or stunning, so we can run it in the Flurry and the Twisting Blades build, it's going to give us up to 84 crit strike chance and X crit damage, so this is great. You can actually get a lot more. I actually have some pretty bad gear, and I got Chilling Weight. You'll notice we don't play Frigid Finesse. I don't want to run Cold Imbue. It's just another step to the process where if you want to add it and get another multiplier and run Control, hey, go for it. But if you want to run Frigid Finesse, it's not necessarily bad. It's just that you're going to have to roll Freeze instead, and this just is 100%. Like, you'd normally run certain things where it'd be like chance to freeze, but I have 100% chance to daze. So this with like, let's say, concussion for even more damage, or you can get, again, Shared Misery. These are all great options because you can proc other things for more damages, but it's kind of up to you. I actually am missing another aspect because, well, I accidentally scuffed up my gloves, but it's fine. We're missing a lot of crit here, but if you want to run Grasp of Shadow, I mean, I have a double GA'd one, and I was like, okay, it's not that bad, but don't expect the Shadow Clone to do damage. It's kind of worthless. It's just that I'm making with what I have on the PTR because I don't really want to sit there and start masterworking things to try to hit on Twisting Blades, and I just had this lying around, so it's kind of good for that. But specifically, also getting a lot more defenses is free in this build because you can kind of move things around. Again, normally you'd want Trick Attacks instead of Chilling Weight, but there's another thing that's really good to get damage, and that is your damage per Dark Shroud Shadow. So that means, well, if we have 5, that is 5 times 100, so that is 500 extra damage. Now, I want to say that this has some potential to maybe get changed a little bit, but let me give you guys the quick maths on this. It is pretty insane. So to explain really quick the quick maths on this, if I was to take a crossbow and then I temper on the Dark Shroud, right, modifier, instead of like the damage to, you know, crowd control or the vulnerable damage or the crit damage for, let's say, precision, this new temper is absolutely godly. So if I was to take 242, like let's say we hit this masterwork, right? Let's say, you know, we get really lucky. Obviously, getting it to be all the way at maximum is pretty insane, but the maths over there, if you guys can see that, is 1,210 damage, which is pretty crazy. Now, that is additive damage, but it is a pretty big amount, and you can get this in multiple areas. We still have a lot more upgrades to get. We can get that on our gloves as well. Keep in mind, like these gloves are really bad because we're missing out on crit damage, we're missing out on the tempering and the aspect. But this number can go up way higher, and I think that is going to be pretty dang big for the build. Now, again, if you really want to push the damage and get more attack speed and then throw in something else, you can. It doesn't really work well on the Flurry build, but it can work on the Twisting Blades. The reason why is Flurry has a thing where you want to do successive casts, which means every single one it is. You cannot throw in something else. If you throw in a puncture every once in a while, this multiplier of 45, or what is it? Yeah, 45 like X damage is going to be lost. So it's not really worth it for the Flurry. But for Twisting Blades, if you really want to do combo points like you used to, hey, be my guest, you'll get way more damage. But I think the damage is enough, and you may run into resource problems if you swap that. And remember, this also gives you damage technically anyways. When you have more resource, you have more crit, and that's part of Lochran's, which is going to be in pretty much every single build in Season 5 going forward. But there's a little sneak peek. We'll drop a build guide. Let me know your guys' thoughts. But if you guys have any suggestions for the build, let me know down below, as Twisting Blades was one of my favorite things, and now I like that you don't have to play Poison Imbue, you don't have to do the combo points, close quarters, activate a skill that you really didn't want to equip, and this is a really good item, man. But if you want to drop it, yeah, you could. But really fun build overall, indeed, coming out in Season 5. But anyways, if you have any questions, let me know down below. But build guide coming very soon for all the stuff on the PTR, as I don't think that this one really will get like nerfed to the point where it's unplayable. But I'm really glad to see Twisting Blades and Flurry kind of make a comeback, as Melee Rogue really hasn't seen some play in a while. But anyways, subscribe if you're new, and we'll be dropping that very, very, very soon. Anyways, peace out.